Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be telling you all about my NaNoWriMo Survival Kit. And these are the things that really help me get through NaNoWriMo. Some of them you can take or leave. I mean, everyone's going to be different. So these are just, if you're interested, the things that really got me through last year. Now the first thing in my survival kit is, of course, my laptop. Now this particular laptop, it's really old. It doesn't work great anymore. It's really out of date. It basically does nothing but update every time I turn it on. But it is a laptop. It gets me through the month. I can type on it, so it's what I've got for now. At some point I may end up replacing it, hopefully sooner than later, since I've already had a laptop die on me and I really don't want that to happen again. But yes, laptop. Next up, I have notebooks. Now, I do type when I write for NaNoWriMo because, you know, I type a lot faster than I write, and that's what I'm used to. Some people like to handwrite. I could not write 50,000 words by hand in a month. That I can't imagine the cramps that would cause. But I do like to have a notebook because I tend to brainstorm better on paper than I do on a laptop. I generally don't know where... it's hard to explain. When you're typing, it's like so limited to like where your cursor is, and I don't know. It's just a hard thing for me to explain, but on paper I feel like I can map things out. I can really just put ideas down that I don't have to be too attached to, and I can move them around and, you know, just see how things look sitting down in front of me. So I tend to use notebooks, and one thing that really helps me get through the month and just makes me feel more motivated to write is having a notebook that I really love. So for this year, this is my notebook just because I think it's adorable, fearless and free. It kind of has like a motivational, inspirational message on it that it's just kind of helps me get in the mood to get things done. And, you know, I just really like having something like that to motivate me. Now, I also tend to have a second notebook, which I got this cute little one that says notes. But yeah, I like having a second notebook just because sometimes I don't want to disrupt my train of thought. I'll be writing one thing on one notebook and suddenly I get another idea, but I don't want to disrupt what I'm doing, so I'll switch to the other notebook. And I don't really have necessarily any kind of system. I always start off the month with some sort of system of like, this is going to be where my timeline stuff goes, and I'll put random notes on this side, and then I'll do this over here, but then inevitably I'll be in the middle of something in the notebook that something belongs in, so I put it in the other one, and then they just both have everything in it. So I don't recommend that if you're planning on having, like, I don't know, a home notebook and one that you take with you or something like that, because your notes are going to be all everywhere. I always keep them together, imagining that they're one notebook, and just write wherever I feel like it. Somehow it just helps me get my thoughts down when I can just write wherever I feel like it. Now, of course, to write in a notebook, you will need an implement to write with, and I always have Pilot pens. If you don't like Pilot pens, you're lying. These are the greatest pens. I don't know why I never had them until I was an adult. I think my mom didn't like gel pens, which is insane because now she has like a gel pen collection. Of course they're like for coloring, not for writing, but I love these a lot. They are just so dark, they slide on so smoothly, and it makes my handwriting look good. It makes me want to put more effort into it, and it just makes me happier when I write. So I want something that's going to make me feel happy to write and not like a chunky little pen that's running out of ink that you have to push real hard because you're not going to feel like writing with that. So it sounds like a silly thing, but it could improve your productivity by just making you feel like writing. Next up on the list is index cards. Now I don't use these very much, but I always like to have a pretty good amount on me because whenever I'm confused about a plot hole or a timeline or something like that, it always is easier for me to write plot points down on these and move them around to where I need them. I do use sticky notes occasionally as well. Sometimes those work better. They're smaller, easier to move around, but I like these for really laying out a timeline just to kind of see like main events, and then you can always use the sticky notes for like minor events and lay them down like in between, and it can just help you sort it out in your mind, kind of like map the story out, because inevitably you're going to start making a graph on paper with your timeline on it, and then you're going to realize that something needs to change, and unless you're writing it in pencil and erase the entire thing, you're just going to have to start over because there's not going to be a space where you need there to be a space. So that's why I like this. Once you have the timeline all cemented down, that's when you can then write it down and, you know, take it with you so that you can refer to it. But yeah, sticky notes and index cards are a must-have for me. Next up on the list is ambiance. So for me, that can be anything from pretty artwork, motivational posters, or really good smelling candles. Even tea or coffee or cocoa or cider, you know, nice warm cozy drinks. It can mean wearing your favorite sweater. It can mean just about anything that really gets you in the mood for writing. I always have this image in my mind of sitting in a coffee shop and just writing away with those, you know, the artsy vibe and that sort of like romantic image of writing in a coffee shop like some famous author just really gets me in the mood for writing. And even if I'm not in a coffee shop, because, you know, this year with things being the way they are, I may not be in public quite as much as last year I was, so I might just have to create that sort of coffee shop ambiance for myself. Another great thing to kind of get you in the mood could be a fuzzy blanket, or I have a weighted blanket that really helps when I'm starting to stress out because maybe I'm running behind, or maybe I'm just, you know, really stuck and I'm just feeling that anxiety like, man, I've got writer's block, I don't know what to do, and I still have to get 1,000 words out today, and a weighted blanket can really help with anxiety and just kind of settle my nerves until I can focus again. Going along with ambiance can be music, or just sounds in general. I will oftentimes be listening to like soft piano music, or even just like the sound of a fireplace crackling, or the sound of the rain, or even coffee shop noises. Sometimes you can find like coffee shop noises mixed with like soft music, or just people talking but you can't hear what they're saying, and it just kind of gives some white noise that doesn't distract you from writing, but it can kind of help you get in the right kind of mood. Some people do like listening to music while they write because they'll listen to a song that sounds like their story. For example, like if they are writing a really intense scene, they might want to listen to a really intense song and get them in the mood. I have tried that and it works up to a point for me, but I tend to get distracted with loud music or with anything with words in it. So I kind of just have experimented with ambient sound and soft music, and that seems to be working for me better. Next on the list is extra motivation. Now that can be goodies for yourself that you set aside. That can be when I get to 10,000 words, I'm gonna go get an ice cream or whatever it is that would interest you and get you motivated to get to that next step. But it can also be buying merch. NaNoWriMo sells merch. They have winter t-shirts like the one I have. They have just general NaNoWriMo shirts. They have mugs, book bags, all kinds of fun things, posters and calendars, you know, and it can be fun just to get you in the mood, or it can be, you know, when I get halfway there, when I get to 25,000 words, I'm gonna buy myself a winter shirt and then I have to win. So it can kind of keep you going till the end. Other ways to keep you motivated can be telling your friends. When I start NaNoWriMo, I usually announce it on Facebook. The NaNoWriMo website has banners, like Facebook banners, Twitter banners, that you can put up there that tells the world that you're participating. When people ask you about it, and you tell them, you know, I'm going to write a novel in a month, it can be a great way to have people keep you accountable, because they might ask you, you know, how is that novel coming? And you'll have to look them in the face and say, well, I haven't written for 3 days, so I'm doing great. You know, it can just be an extra reminder that people are counting on you to follow through with what you put forward for yourself. The last item in my survival kit is something that I just added this last year, and I really think it had a lot to do with helping me win. So I am probably going to do it again, or at least refer to it from last year, a contract. It sounds a little silly because now you would think that with signing up for NaNoWriMo, you really know what that entails. It's going to mean you're just going to have to do a lot of writing. It's going to be 50,000 words, which roughly split up, that means 1,667 words a day, which you would think that would be enough of a commitment. But this contract really helped me last year. When I commit to a goal, I usually have some sort of nebulous idea of what that goal will entail, but the second it turns out differently than I expected, I tend to have trouble with following through. So I didn't want this to happen last year, and I wrote myself a contract. I included everything that I felt could possibly go wrong, and I just tried to word it so that I really understood the severity of how much I needed to do this. I needed to finish something I'd started. I needed to complete a major goal like this that I had been trying to do since high school and have never been able to do. So here is my contract from last year that I wrote near the beginning of NaNoWriMo when all the novelty hadn't quite worn off yet. Alright, here it is. NaNoWriMo Agreement. I commit to writing 50,000 words this month. I commit to being uncomfortable a few hours a day for the sake of progress. I commit to being nice to myself, even when I hate what I've written. I commit to leaving my work alone until December. I commit to rewarding myself when I need to. I commit to being flexible. I commit to writing horribly on purpose if I can't think of anything else to write. I commit to bragging to people who will keep me accountable. I commit to being proud even when I've written nonsense. And I commit to having a grandiose celebration when I inevitably win. So that's the contract that I wrote for myself. It's a little silly, but it really helped me feel like it made me really confront the idea that my writing wasn't going to be perfect and that it wasn't supposed to be, which I've always struggled with. I've always been a perfectionist, and whenever I tried to start a project, I would get stuck because it wasn't perfect. So I wrote that little contract just to kind of shake me out of that and keep me moving. And I really think it worked. So that's my survival kit for NaNoWriMo, and that's what I'm going to be using this year. If I think of anything else, I will let you know, but let me know about what's in your NaNoWriMo kit. Do you do NaNoWriMo? What kind of things help you with staying productive? Also, I challenge you, if you are doing NaNoWriMo this year, to write your own contract, and if you're brave enough, Why don't you share in the comments what you put in it? It can help others. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.